Hey everyone, it's Ben Watson here. Today on the show I have David Blair. He is a Paralympian and he won gold at Rio, and he's also a member of our test pilot squad. Welcome, David.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So I have a ton of questions for you.
Yeah.
I want to know what everyone probably wants to know, what it was like to win gold.
For me, I'll tell you, it was a neat experience. We went into Rio really doing well, really performing well. The tricky thing with my sport, discus throwing, is that the technique is so finite. Like the smallest changes can just throw you off by 2, 3, 4 meters. But we were throwing really well going into Rio, and felt pretty good about it. And then we like with all things, problems started happening, and just, I don't know if it's the travel or what, but all of a sudden from leaving Salt Lake and arriving in Rio, I'd lost 5 meters in my throw. And we had to find it with like 4 days of training, and my coach was coming into so I competed on a Friday, and my coach came into town on Wednesday, and I got there on a Monday.
What about elevation? Did that make a difference? Or?
Not too much, no, because it's always easy to come down from elevation. We're here in the mountains. I love living in the mountains and competing here. And so going down to elevation there for me was no big deal, but something went wrong. I don't know, the food in the athletes lounge, I don't know, like something happened, and we had to make a correction quick. So we went from being really confident to like wishy-washy on like, oh man, is this going to work out? And so when it actually happened, I knew my third. I knew right before I went in the ring. The way the competition goes is after your third throw, whoever's in first place gets to throw last, which means that when it's your time to take your last throw, before you throw, you already know if you won or not. And so when that happened for me, I already knew that I'd won, and so I was already excited going into the ring for my final throw. The throw happened, and it was a foul, and right, I'd already won, nothing needed to worry about. So I was excited and happy, but the best way I can describe it, because people ask me this a lot, how does it feel to win it? So like, I've had the feeling matched since, and it's always matched for me when I do something to someone, when I help them out, when they weren't expecting it, and they can't repay me, right? There's this like euphoria feeling that you get, and you feel great about it, and you know that you helped them out, you did them a favor. For me, one day it was a guy that was a veteran, and I did something for him, and I knew he wasn't expecting it, and he couldn't give it back, and like me walking to the car after that had happened, it was the same feeling. There's a difference though. This one lasts for years. With the gold, it lasts a long time. But it's kind of neat to have this little thought that you could just reflect on. But I will tell you, like the feeling of the sense of the accomplishment and how good it feels to win, it took a while to start setting in. And the further out I got from it, the more I realized, man, this was not just a chance in a lifetime. It's just such a rare experience, and I cherish it every day since, no question. I try not to bring it up. It's easy to not bring up, but when people ask about it, I will tell them it's a life-changing event.
Do you ever wear the medal around at home?
It's my ID, right? At the bank, they say, "Oh, here."
And you competed in college, discus. Did you do other events as well?
Yeah, we had shot put. I threw in discus. Hammer was my favorite event. I love the hammer. I broke multiple school records here at Weber State, and held those. I only have one left now, but that's good because it's been a long time. I've got a unique story because I kind of came back into training after not competing for a long time, thinking I'd like to give it a go again, and it turned out I'm stronger and as good of an athlete as I ever was.
How old were you when you started to compete again?
38.
38.
Yeah, 39.
And
I was 38 or 39.
How did that come up? You just had this idea that...
Yeah, so competing, it takes up a lot of your time. And for me, it took up a lot of my pain energy. My foot hurt always whenever I competed. I remember from being a small kid playing t-ball, having to limp like all the next day because my foot was sore from playing practice the day before. Like, that's just how it was. I'm so used to this constant nagging pain in my feet that, but when I was competing in college, it was different. Like, it was like searing fire, burn pain. And so I was happy to be done with that, and called it quits right after college. I remember my last throw in college, where I knew my career was all the way done. It had done what I needed it to do. I wanted to get a scholarship and have it pay for my schooling, and that's what it did. Weber State was kind enough to offer me a scholarship, and it worked out really well for me. I wouldn't have been able to go to school otherwise.
And you were born with a club foot,
Yeah.
right? And did you have any injuries from that in your college career or after that?
If you see my x-rays, like, my bones are just solid. They were. They're just
At that
solid.
time?
Yeah, they're solid bones, and it's from all this stress fracture that I've put in them over the years from throwing on it. So, yeah, the foot was always in pain. There was multiple times where I've broken it. I think I've broken it 3 times, but this last time,
that's how we met. Is he had a really bad break on his 5th metatarsal, and when was that?
That was March 12th, 2019. I was in practice. When you throw the discus, you kind of load up one side of the body, and I loaded up that left side and went to drive, and I was making some adjustments in the technique where I thought, I want to see if I can add some more power out of the back, and it totally did, and I just heard it snap like a pencil. The x-rays showed that I broke clean through that 4th metatarsal and cracked into I broke through the 5th metatarsal and cracked into the 4th. So I got 2 metatarsals in one drive of this foot. It's so much force, and I was lucky to have it last as long as it did.
Yeah, and your metatarsals are really twice the size of average.
They really are.
Or were.
They were.
It's an interesting story.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see a couple physicians, and they want to do a surgery, and then you find Dr. Barg at the U in Salt Lake.
Yes, great doctor, University of Utah, Dr. Barg.
And Dr. Barg says, no surgery, and he sends you up here.
Yeah.
And he says that let's build you an orthotic, see if we can heal it up that way.
Yeah.
You had been in a healing boot for how long at that point?
I think I was on 6 weeks when I first came to you in the boot.
And it wasn't healing at all.
Nothing had changed. Protocol for that is surgery, and Dr. Barg. So the other 2 physicians, like you said, I'd gone. So the protocol is, if it hasn't healed in 3 weeks, then you got a surgery on it, because that 5th metatarsal doesn't get a lot of blood flow. So I did that, and then they said, we probably maybe need to operate on you. They knew that, like, the one doctor, I kind of felt like he wanted to say he operated on a gold medalist. And I was like, well, this gold medalist still needs to use that foot. and the other doctor, they couldn't agree on what to do or what to put in. And I went to Dr. Barg at the U, and he said, he told me, I do 600 surgeries a year. If we operate on this foot, it'll be 2 years before you're able to, like, it's not going to happen. And he said, surgery might still need to happen, but I would recommend we wait. Even if you have to wait 8-9 weeks, I think we wait to let this heal. And I went in for the first visit, then came back 3 weeks later. It still hadn't healed. And he said, okay, I have something else you can try. And that was you. And we came down. He said, this guy, I'm not affiliated with him. You have to drive all the way to Ogden. He's all, but you can't go see anyone else, is what he said. He was adamant. He's like, I'm really sorry to send you to Ogden. I don't make any money off of this. You just need to go see him. And we came and saw you, and you were able to figure out a way to create this orthotic that even Dr. Barg had never heard of, but to where we could take pressure off of that 4th metatarsal, let it still be broken, but let me use the foot and function, so I wasn't in this boot that I'd been in for weeks, too many weeks. And then hopefully, the plan with him was to just have it stay broken and just leave it at that. But maybe we can create an orthotic that would take pressure off enough that I wouldn't be in pain, which totally worked. No pain, like from day one. As soon as I put it on, you were able to take the pressure off of that break, put it onto the rest of my foot, and I could function. but there was a problem. I still wanted to compete, and I couldn't load the foot to compete. And so, we found some other things that took care of that. But
yeah, so short term, I was totally skeptical. I was like, there's no way this is going to heal up. I thought it was a long shot. But within like a month or two...
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
It was
from
gone.
Non-healing 6 weeks, It was fully healed, wearing the orthotic.
No, I put it on. I got it on at 8 weeks. I think it was 8 weeks. No healing. And then I didn't do any of the pulsing, any of that other stuff. I was doing things on the side, but the bottom line was they even did a CT scan. There was no healing that had happened on the foot. And then from that 8-week period, I went in for another, once a month I was going in for checkups. 8 weeks I got your orthotic put on. I went into my checkup at 4 weeks. He's like, it's closed. It healed. He'd never seen it, but he's like, it doesn't surprise me because we're able to get the blood flow going by using the foot, but we're not messing with the brake because of the way you made the orthotic. It was great.
Yes. So, like in retrospect, I can kind of understand it as well.
Yeah,
but on the
same.
front side of it, it was like, oh gosh, it's just it was a difficult thing. But your career really was on the line.
Totally.
And so we bypassed and skipped the surgery aspect of it. So now he has this healed fracture. And he went and saw the guys from FabTech who built him this great big carbon fiber brace that basically he's not loading that bone any longer. I mean, it's an awesome brace.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So you'll wear that for competition. I'll build orthotics for when you're non-competing now.
Yeah.
And then an interesting thing happened is that since then you had an X-ray and your the bone diameter has actually shrunk back down to normal for the 4th and 5th metatarsals.
Yeah, very odd.
And
again,
it looks like a totally different foot.
Yeah,
now.
It does. He healed completely different. And what turns out after talking with Dr. Vargas is that when we go in and build that callus and the body comes in and like rebuilds the bone, he's like, I think it just rebuilt your bone structure, which is crazy. But I mean, we have multiple X-rays showing that you can see that the width of the bones, the edge of the bones, they're just not as strong anymore. So, yeah, I mean, doing what I do with it and the force I put on it, it would break again. I would 1, maybe 2 practices.
So that's fine. You can compete. In fact, you did compete recently, right?
Yeah. We had the World Championships out in Dubai. So two major keys to that was I had to have the orthotic to get the bone to heal, and then with the brace. But yeah, we were able to go out there and compete on a foot that had no business being thrown on. I was throwing on it, and it's.
Did you think you were done?
Oh yeah, for sure. So there's this thing though that's like, because Dubai was a unique story too, because I got there and like. I went through all this work to get there, and then when I'm there, I break my back, right? And I can't compete again. And I thought, I can't believe that there's this much resistance. I just want to compete at World Championships. And then when I went, so you have this call tent that you have to go to, and I got to the call tent, and the judge there told me, you're too late, you can't compete. I was like... Look, man, I'm competing today. This isn't going to happen. So tell me what I need to do. But I caught so much resistance. I've never had a time where there were so many things thrown at me to prevent me from doing something. And so many obstacles that every single one of them seemed like, there's no way out of this. And man, I think it was a great life lesson for me is that we can get through a lot more than we think we can.
Yeah.
We're a lot more resilient.
So that was a big deal. So now that's past, and you can compete now. So what's it look like now? Is just making sure that you make smart decisions about the brace and the footwear and
all of
maintain your health. And then what's next?
So next is we're just finishing off the off season, and by off season I mean like I'm not training as hard as I will be in just a couple weeks, but. Because I compete in September. I think it's September 3rd about is when I'll be throwing discus in Tokyo, assuming everything goes well and I'm able to compete. And so, we space it out in sections and we have circuits of training that we do. And so all of this, none of this, I would have been so done. Just, I could function normal with the orthotic, how you gave me, and still avoid surgery, which is remarkable, right? This is what Dr. Barg said. Like, this surgery for many people is a rough one because you just don't naturally have blood flow to that fifth metatarsal. And then where my fracture occurred, it wasn't quite a Jones fracture, but just the way my foot is, it just doesn't have the blood flow. And surgery on the feet, you have more bones, you know this. You have more bones below your knees than you do above in your whole body. The foot is a complex thing. And so to be able to have someone that knows what they're doing enough to make it so that you can function now, I mean, I felt very lucky to be able to find you. But yeah, any other person that's not like putting hundreds of pounds of force on their third, fourth, and fifth metatarsals,
yeah,
they would have been done and fine after just having met you, and they would have avoided surgery. They would have avoided the recovery of surgery. They have the thousands of dollars, the risk that always comes. There's no such thing as a perfectly risk-free surgery. There's just not. The smallest in-house ones still have the chance of going wrong, and you can have problems. But there's never a problem with avoiding surgery. if you can get...
Yeah.
So this is what Dr. Borg told me. He said, he said, the surgery, I can only guarantee you getting back to about 50% of what you were before the break. And he said, if the orthotic can get you, because I came in with the orthotic, and he's like, your bone's healed, and you're at like 70%, 80%, and you're not done healing. He's like, there's no way I operate on you. There's no way. So if you could get me to like 80, 90%, and there was no surgery required, I mean, it's a win for everyone except maybe the doctor. But he didn't care, right? He didn't get the money from the. He didn't want the. His
he
goal.
Just wants you to succeed.
Hippocratic oath, right? Whatever's best for the patient, and he totally 100% did that.
Yeah,
it was great.
Best case scenario for him because that's a difficult surgery.
Yeah, very difficult. Mine would have been very unique because the bones were so thick they'd have to go in. He explained it. He's going to have to do it like it was a femur, where they have to drill out the inside of the bone, clear it out so that they could, all that hard buildup that I'd gotten, they needed to clear that out and then put the screw in and then hope everything took and that the foot's not ruined. And he's like, I don't want to, that's too much risk. So
I've got one more question.
Yeah.
So at the low point during this process, every athlete goes through it where they're just considering quitting. Like, is this worth it? I'm sure you kind of wrestled with that a little bit.
For sure.
And how did you push past that? Or what was it that made you push past that to get through to be able to compete again?
Well, I don't know the right way to say it other than, like, you have to be willing to exhaust every option, right? And you have to be able to have enough confidence in yourself and your own self-abilities to know that when someone tells you no, like, there's a really good chance that you can find a yes, right? I had multiple doctors tell me, no, you got to have this operated on it, but I knew if I had it operated on. I knew that they knew what I was doing and that they knew the surgery was complicated, but I don't think they grasped how complicated it was going to be. And so they said, well, you're probably done, but with me, man, there was one thing I wanted to do, and it's silly. I wanted to throw this plate on a grass field. It's dumb. I get it. It's really dumb. But it's something that you can do to represent your country, and so I like to do it. And there's no way I was going to be denied that until I knew, like, in my gut that I was done. And that gut feeling wasn't there, right? You've got to be able to have confidence in your gut. And mine was just, anyway, my wife can attest to this, and a lot of people that know me, that when I get something in my head, like, I obsess over it. And I just knew there was no way that I was going to give up that easy. 2 docs said no, and another doc said surgery, and then another person said, you're probably done. That's only 4 people. Right? To me, there's more options than that. There's always more than 4 no's, right? Anytime there's a problem. So I kind of delve in that way.
Well, great. thank you so much
Yes,
for
no problem.
hanging out with me, and I look forward to building you more orthotics.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, for sure. Thank you very much.
All right, everyone. Have a great day.